Eish. Next ke tjaiva spansula but next satsibo hore nka etsang after matric. We la bona after matric re ba confused kaofela wa bo. Ha re qeta ho thola le bo di results a re tsebo re tse jwang ka re batla spane hape wa bo. So ha ne ke le grade 11 ke le ka attend a competition ya step up to startup. Ne ke le one of the top 10. The competition was national. But unfortunately competition ingazanka win but spirit is an entrepreneur. Azankas loser because of I was motivated by Innovation Hub, NYTA, Standard Bank, MTN, lot of companies more. Then after matric I always call the business because of the spirit is an entrepreneur. So one of the good days I could high and I pila hole. Na dula phela jemo hanense re hola wabo. So as an khutla skolong always negdula ke garden le ntatemoholo re sebetsa garden and ke bona le hard labor ntshone ke bona le abuse rona but in a education wabo. So nna skill seo be ke seng ka he because of ke bone nkgono ga tsata harvest the fruits and vegetables nkgono yena producer jam. Then be ke mbotsa nkgono ke wena wa se iketsetse yona o rekise spaza shop on sa because ona le spaza shop. Then makoka ba re wena wa se iketsetse yona. Then nikina 1,000 rand niki save ile ke batla reka a pair of all-star shoes. Ka said no man, instead of reke all-star ke tlo khutela hape ko jeva di robotong chelete fele hape ke etse jalo mara ke build something ka philo ba ka said we iqalla company bitsang Old Age. So so this jam never fit unique as jam yaka ke jam ya rona ke aka se tlo phamisang ka si ba fit tlemele ba fit to create and span. There's a lot of open spaces mokasi ke lwanela product ya ka e kene ko di retailing and ke hloka support ya lona as much as le lona le hloka support ya ka hore le khona thola span. So ba fit there's a lot of open spaces ke encourage re pushing agriculture re lemeng ditamati tse ngata because of tamati ha le winter scarce ke market ko e reka and ya tour. So imagine se ke reka tamati from lona then ke supply Pick and Pay ka tamati jam. So outla hore re create a value chain around kasi and again hona le recycling mabotolo ana a tura ke wa reka. So if maybe lona let's recycling then re reka machine you go to NYTA or attend a fella program ya bona ke 1 week o keleza business management program ya thing then have a motola certificate you qualify ho khona thola funding then o reka a machine e lo ranking e tlo create mabotlolo. So ke reka mabotlolo happy from wena kasi ya rona ba fete tlo develop a jwalo wa bo. So ba re think like this. So guys nna ke motivator ke Tebza Diphetlo Tebza 2000 ke na etsang brand ya Smart Pantsula wa bo. He's sponsored by Red Bull, Jaiva Spansola, Wetale brand ena. So he's doing a lot of things. So one inspire because of like Barama Pansola Kidi gangster wabo. So that mentality will change wabo. And especially Ikas, who are saying Babanga to Parandi Tikis Bapampela Hudim, Barahoti or Waiba Pampela Hudim. So Rona Babang, as soon as I come or he gets a bit here, but I cannot timeline yak. Who Facebook, we're not Lobona Pansola Ki. Wabo, kilo nal pansula liu, not bachwa pampelang hodi. So guys, please follow my page on Instagram at @alltagem_SA, Facebook @alltagem, Twitter @alltagem. Halem patla tlanchola Facebook kilo pansula la jam. Thank you so much. And again, guys, resoka di distributors, to distributor product ya rona. Product di ka si ke rekisa ka 35 rand mara ha ke etswa ke rekisa ka 40 rand. Then stock prices a teng ha o reka ho nna ka stock price ko rekisa ka 35 o tla rekisa ka 40 rand alwen. So either a 5 rand but if o tswa o lo ipatlela market engwe e se kasi o ka ipitsa 50 rand ho dependa ho wena o batla e bitsa jwang as long as it's a market ya kasi ke 35 rand because this is where it is manufactured. Thank you.
Parama kasi parama. Ayeye laziness, ayeye. Ayeye nyaupe, ayeye. Uzoyithola kanjani? Why lithosa volume? Uzoyithola kanjani? I think Smart Pantsula must dance a bit for us. What do you think? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Le Pantsula la jam. Na le Pantsula la jam. Oza. Hey, bo. Achu. Yebo. Yeah. Ah, da. Thank you. Aye. Amanda? Aman. Aman. Eish. Amanda? I was with some attitude. Amanda? Yes. This is what we call power. Power is when we use what we learn from our grandparents to change our economical situation. You don't need to go to next door. He thought it's abuse when they say come to the field and work, but he didn't realize that they are giving him capacity and tools for him to be able to think out of the box and to do what others think that it is impossible. I pray that because people want to buy. But if you don't take that initiative to produce something, what is it that people will buy from you? Because auna ntoni. Auna ingi ntoni. So this particular conference is about that. You come here, you learn leadership, you learn human resource, you learn everything else, then you go, you apply it by doing something that will change the condition of our people. That will change Orange Farm. I told you I hate to call it Orange Farm. I like to call it what? Orange Gardens. Orange Gardens. Lang understand, Damos? Because Orange Gardens, Orange Farm, it is the place of the champions. The school, your inputs. I'm listening to some of you asking questions. You can tell that you are young people on course. You are going somewhere. So for the last time, let's chow a round of applause for the Pantsola. Smart Pantsola. There's another lady who is in business, Tsulufelo. She's going to tell us about her business, what she's doing. And let's give her listening because we learn from each other. Ne? And the other thing that I am praying, next year when this thing is done, we must not have less than 50 people coming with testimonies of how this event have impacted them. And what is it that they're doing now? Where are those ladies? Where's the friend? I was talking to them during the break. And I was saying, when we come back next year, let's bring testimonies. What is it that we are bringing? Testimonies. Okay.
Dumelang. Le kae? Ke nna Tsholofelo Lesile. Ke organize the trips around Orange Farm. Since ke bone batho ba ileng ba dila ka tourism ba scarce. Unless ba le teng ka mo, so that there's some collaboration by the raise of hands. Kiziba King Sugar Fela. Babang Bazang di trip sabayo. Okay. Kinali an upcoming trip. Ya Go Reef City. And kipatadisa di adults 400 rand per person. And kinka kapele bana. It's 300 rand. Bana meaning children from the years of 3 years until 14. Kibana bakiba patadisang 300 rand. So go tripping area called Reef City. Kibatlo rezwe ka mogare ga Orange Farm. Ge bone gore gona le di pleke tse ding tse nice and fun. Re tlogela ba stuck mo Orange gardens. Re bone hore ho na le di-place tse ding. So for more information about the trip, kopa o lefa my phone numbers. It's 081 395 1261. And all age groups are allowed. Ne? Thank you very much.
Andleni ezandleni.
Ing. Oh, excuse me, to mention the dates, right? Date kika 16 December, ne? But to book your seat, utshwantse o patale ka di 15th of November just to secure your space. Then, okay, then the remaining balance, we patala ka di 30th of November. So lunch, kuena uikelang, kuena ipatalang, hantle. Because nna ke dila ka entrance fee and transportation only. Yeah. Okay, number yaka ke 081 395 1261. Tsolo Fellow. Orange Farm, hello.
Any other question to her? Likal Pansula la jam, Bafitu. Yeah, any question to Pansula la jam? Any question? Oh, thank you. There's a question there. Yebo, Chumiaka? Right. Thanks. Thank you. That's beautiful. Eh? I'll hold for
Okay. All right. So bengicela ukubuza amajemu akho ayenziwe from which ngoba ngizwe uringa ngetamati and thina sijwayele peach ne so bengazi ukuthi ke ngicela ungitshela ama flavors owachunayo ukuthi imaphi namaphi bro wami. Sure.
Shosho putu wami ngiyabonga kakhulu. Mina ama-flavor mputu wami unique kakhulu. Ayikuthi ngiyachoma futhi ngiyaphinda futhi ngiyasho. Ama-flavor unique. Awekho emashelfini. Yellow melon, tamati, pear. Then the only one letholakalayo entweni ema-retailers i-peach. Then ngetamati jam ukhona ukumarinate inyama yakho, we use it as replacement of chutney ekudleni kwakho. Even when you make your tomato gravy. Even when you make your tomato gravy, instead of adding sugar, you can just add jam. Then with these other flavors, you can use it on your bread, on your pancakes, on your scones, on your jam tarts. There's a lot of things that you can do. And khona manje senza some experiment ukuthi ijam siyiphuze ngama cocktail.
the Pansula is dangerous. Lady. Thank you, Smart Pansul. Any other question? Yeah, Shayan Tuanak. Yeah, but let's the mic, you know? Yeah.
Yebo. Ngiyagama ngu-Innocent Sizwe, nami I'm also into business, Pansula lami. A question engifuna ukubuza yona ngizokhuluma about you mentioned NYDA, I think Africa Tican, and then ngifuna ukubuza ukuthi if you want to get you said there's a training based on business management, how do we get to that?
Mina ngiyengaya lapha NYDA yabo ngayo register for ukuthi ngikhona ukuza ngizo-attenda leyo training. So angazi ukuthi bawa-hosta nini because mina bengilakhi baye bangifonela from khona NYDA ukuze ngizokhona ukuregistera. And it's not just NYDA, there's also GEP, there's also Innovation Hub ngoba nami khona manje under incubation ku-Innovation Hub. So it's a good program leyo. But before ungena lapho you have to pitch your idea so that ungakhona ukungena. But It's a nice program engajabulela ukuthi wonke abantu bangangena lapho because you get a mentor and bakupha nama training ukuthi are relevant to business yakho. Thank you.
Thank you, Pantsula. Pantsula for life. Guys, this is what you do, ne? If you want something, you go after it. Actually, the reality is that what you want wants you. So the question is, what is it that you want? Lang understand? So here's a Pantsula, he goes to NYTA. Some of us, we want these things to come to us. They would never come to you. You know, the mountain does not come to Mahomet. Mahomet does that, goes to the mountain. Now understand that, eh? Any other question to Pantsula and Tulufelo? Any other question? Any other question? Okay. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow, because I saw during the process, you wanted to ask questions. Yeah, man, Kalbona, Elacha, man. So I'm going to give you an opportunity. Any question you have, ask. And then there are elders here and leaders here who will help us answer those questions. Any question? What's the nako skolo nekede phlale ne nekede type e. Ka ke a jwetsa nekede type e. Next a dulu kombrawa, next a dulu kombrawa. You have who has a question? Oh, okay, Mike. Very good. Oh, because here okay.
Sanbanani, it's not a question as such, but I wanted to direct in my gratitude to Ubabu Masiza. So, like, I'm inspired. How could you bring such great people in this place? And another thing is, Babu Masiza, it's a special request to Guti. Next time, please, the graphic designers we are here would like to see abantu Guti. Like, we're into graphics, we self-made graphic designers. And next time, if probably could be given an opportunity to see someone who's a well-known, probably a graphic designer of Anyeza, would like to see that as a mentor way too, because you see everywhere, Orange Farm where there are quarters and everything. We design that, we paint, we draw, we do that, and yeah, Nyabonga kakhulu Baba Masiza. God bless you.
Guys, I think we need to take that opportunity to do what is right. The young lady raises something important, Guti Ubonga Obabuma Caesar, to bring such great people. Can we just stand and give Ntatema Caesar a standing ovation and a clap of hands? Okay, Jomek, we're now in. Well, this is how humble he is. You're not supposed to stand. I'm going to teach you a new clap just to say to Simpure Masiza, you could have been selfish and stayed in your beautiful house, stayed with your beautiful kids, and just didn't care. But you said, I am one of your own. I am one of you people. So I'll use my resource, my education to empower people. So there's a clap, ne? Ibitwa thunder clap. Ibitwa inge? So we go like this. Come. When I say thunder, you chow your hands very hard. Ne? You do what? Yeah, like this. Come. Thunder. Eish. Any other questions?
Yes. Hi, my name is Moho Wagamhlaivana, and my question is posed to Mr. Masiza. As we are appreciating you now, I'm just thinking, why do you do it? Why did you bring about all of this? Because giving back to Orange Farm means Orange Farm gave you something, and I'm supposing it's not the deal. So if you could just let us know why you do it.
batla ho nkela mosebetsi. Ha o so standardisa wena jwanong.
I think I'm not a main actor here today, you know, and these are some of the speakers, but why I've done it because Orange Farmer has shaped who I am. Nkulele like Kasi, grew up in a shack, I had tuto, and I always had a dream that one day when I, you know, become a professional or an entrepreneur or an executive, I want to come back and contribute back to the next generation of entrepreneurs and leaders like you guys. Because my philosophy is that you don't forget bridges that carried you through. And I guess that's why we're doing this. Okay. But I'm not the main act here. The main act is the MC and the speakers. I mean, I'm just behind the scenes to make sure that we support you young people. Because you guys, you carry so much greatness, so much potential. And don't allow anyone to define who you are. Because whatever defines you confines you. I think they are right, Mama Sit. You are an architect of your own destiny. But here's my advice. 24 years ago, I used to attend my workshops where I Can Foundation under Dr. David Timlapo. Bengfana na ngereza, ngibuza imibuzo, yana ngithatha ama business card, ngiya public phone, ngifona, yana ngiba a phone kubantu, yana I was so persistent. And I encourage you that abantu mabafika abakhuluma, you have an idea, you have a dream, be aggressive. Go, bose, you know, follow up, you know, until somebody are we all together, you know. And that's why I'm doing that. It's because I believe with Orange Farm, it's a home of greatness. And there is so much potential, there's so much greatness amongst us as young people. And don't allow the environment to define who you are. You are an architect of your own destiny. May God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Masiza. Amara bazalwane. Onki dem program ya ka hai. OS. Eka, ki ona. You are a suspect in this thing. Why is it next to you? Thank you so much. That was refreshing. Now, we don't have any other question on it. Okay. Without any waste of time, we are having a phenomenal speaker. We are having a phenomenal leader. Her name is Liz Letswalo from TED Speaker. Can we please put our hands together for Liz? Come on, guys. Come on, come on, come on, guys. How?
Thank you.
Naman. Hey, good to a hunter, man.
Dumelang. I'm so honored to be here today with you guys. My name is Liz Letswalo. I'm the founder of a beauty brand called Masodi Organics. It's a brand that I've named after, the most influential woman in my life, my mother. When I was asked to come here and speak today, it was a no-brainer. This is something that's so close to my heart. I'm from Zanin. It's a small village, a small town in Limpopo, a village called Long Valley. And when I was growing up, as soon as I went to varsity, I started going back home to run programs like this, where we talk to, young people, particularly myself included, because the activity or the process of talking to people also involves talking to the self. So every time I'm in the space of fellow young people, I feel very excited, I feel very energized, and I feel honored because I believe that we truly carry the answers of a lot of the issues that the country faces, but I also believe that we carry the burdens of the failures of country like ours the most. People like us shouldn't be subjected to unemployment. People like us shouldn't be subject to lack of opportunities. People like us are ambitious. We have dreams, we have visions, we are smart. We should not live in a country that deprives us of the opportunities to actually manifest our wildest dreams. So one of the things that I was thinking about today, as I was reflecting on what am I going to speak about today, it was just about the reflection of where we are as a country, especially during election time. I'm not here to campaign for anyone or against anyone for that matter, but I think it's important for us as the youth and as young people, and perhaps a few older people in the room, to really reflect about where we are as a country and why it's absolutely important for us to do some of the work that we do in the way that we do it. So I've created about 4 or 5 slides, something very short that I'm going to be moving through as the presentation goes. I am not able to move the slides myself, so I don't know if someone is here to help me. Thank you. So the first thing that I thought about was the power of why. Why do we work? Why do we need to be in action as the youth, right? And the first thing that always comes to mind for me is individual purpose. For someone like myself, it's a huge sense of justice. Nothing riles me up, nothing makes me angry, nothing makes me, want to fight than seeing people oppressed, than seeing people suffering. I don't know why that is the case. I guess that's a conversation for myself and my therapist, but something about seeing people who should not be suffering suffer actually riles me up into action. And I think one of the things I think that's important for all of us in this room to think about is, what is the thing that actually brings out or digs out, huge emotions in me? Is it, seeing people abused? Is it, seeing people sing? Is it music? Is it art? Is it, politics? What is it? And I think when each of us have clarity or understanding of why we do certain things, or of our fundamental question, why, I think wherever we go, despite of the opportunities that are given, how glamorous or not glamorous they are, we will be able to, move in a way that is in alignment with our purpose. And I think the second thing is what our society calls for us. I was looking at the stats, last week, and apparently South Africa is ranking one of the highest countries in the world in terms of unemployment, youth unemployment, that is. And when I was thinking about that, I thought, I don't know what else needs to happen for us to be angrier than I think we are, right? And a huge part of me empathizes with the reason maybe why we're not up in arms or protesting like the students of 1976, because maybe we're just so exhausted by carrying the burdens of the failures of this country, by carrying the failures of, some of the leaders that have come before, by carrying some of the hardship. I can understand why as young people sometimes we just feel so helpless. We feel like no one will listen. Sometimes you see some students try to protest and they met with, fire literally from police, right? So of course I empathize with the fact that we feel discouraged to be thrust into action, and we feel discouraged that there is any sort of action that is going to lead to something. But I think it's absolutely important for us to stay in tune with what is going on in our country every single day and remain actively affected by it emotionally. And I don't mean in an unhealthy way, because it's important for us to be able to navigate the day-to-day dynamics, right, of our lives without always feeling like we're weighed down, but to be actively aware of the core issues of the country, to be actively aware of how the issues that we see on the news actually affect us. I see a lot of the times on social media, young people, there's very known people who are, involved in corrupt dealings, especially with our government, tenders and so on. And when we see them posting their flashy cars and things like that, we applaud them and we are fans, and I'm thinking, this is the first problem. When we see people who we know have been to state capture inquiries, and when we see them flashing wealth, when we see them flashing their cars, we should not be, we should be angry to see, they should be ashamed to feel emboldened to actually come in front of us and show that kind of thing, because they know that we're watching and because they know that we reject that kind of behavior in our society. And I think, lastly, it's the issue of how to start as a young person. A lot of the times when people say, I have a dream, I have a clear vision, I just don't know, how to start or where to start. A lot of the times it's a function of just the ability, the lack of resources. Some things require money, or some things require some sort of resource to start. Sometimes it's a lack of skills. You want to start a business, but you don't know actually how to do certain things, right? Sometimes it's a lack of tools. I know how to do things, but I don't actually have the tools to be able to bring that that activity or that initiative into life. So these are some of the things that I'm going to be touching on, especially the last one, because I think it's so important for people who have platforms like myself, who are speaking to people, to say, how can I, by the time I leave the room, have given a few ideas on how people can actually start. Can we go to the next slide, please? I think another thing that is important once someone has started is sustaining the action, right? One of the things I've seen, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, people start a lot of amazing things, but you start with like paraffin fire, and within 3 months, the burden of having to sustain something over time, and the burden of having to be patient and having to be, resilient over time becomes too heavy, and people end up giving up. And one of the things that you can also recognize with is in terms of the politics of the country, for example. I don't believe that a lot of the leaders who maybe misrepresent us or who maybe underserve us started off like that. And one of the key questions that I think is important for us as young people to ask ourselves is, how did they end up like that, right? And how do we know that if I myself was given the same position of power, how do I know that if I myself was given the same platform, how do I know that I wouldn't end up being like that? And I think that is what essentially empathy requires. Empathy requires us to put ourselves in other people's shoes and ask the hard question, not from a judgmental place. And I think the moment you have empathy, or the moment you look at the world with empathy, you're able to then uncover some of the social and economic, ethical dilemmas that such leaders are faced with on a daily basis that perhaps we don't always think about every day. The second thing is the wisdom to discern when a purpose or a purpose-driven initiative has run its course. For example, I've worked in 3 multinationals before I went full-time into my business, Masodi Organics. And one of the things that's always been difficult is knowing whether to hold on to something or to let go of something. And again, this is always important again when it comes to the governing of something like a country. How do we know when a political party, for example, has served its purpose and needs to change? How do we know whether a vision that we've held as a country even has served its purpose and needs to evolve into something else? How do we know that the dreams we hold for ourselves have run their course and have served their purpose and it's time to evolve into something else? Or how do we know that the vision that we still hold is still so important, still so meaningful, that we need to just keep going a little bit longer before we can let go, right? And I think oftentimes we don't always have the wisdom to discern whether we're giving up or whether something has truly run its course and it's time to move on to something else. And I think it's a very important ability to be able to discern whether something has truly run its course or otherwise. And lastly, it's stable and trustworthy relationships. I think trust is a huge thing, especially for young people in this country. For example, when I was in corporate, I had huge trust issues. I looked at everyone with skepticism. People who were meant to be my mentors, I was like, I think this is just a job you were assigned to do in my life, but I don't know if you truly care. And I think every young person, and this is less a conversation I'm having with young people now, I guess it's more of a conversation to be had with people in positions of power, right? When you are an elder, when you are someone in a position of power, at least make it a point to have someone who is younger than you that you can actually truly support. Every child deserves to have an adult champion in their life that they feel that has their best interest at heart, genuinely speaking, from a career perspective, from a health perspective, from a mental wellness perspective, from an educational perspective, and even from a homely kind of perspective. A lot of very strong, powerful people today have always been seen by that one adult who actually came into their lives at a very pivotal moment and changed their lives. Maya Angelou speaks about a moment when she was sexually harassed by, a close family member, and she stopped speaking because this man died after she told that, someone has done this thing to her. And for a very long time, she went mute, and people assumed that this child will never speak again until a teacher actually saw this child. And essentially what I'm saying is that the teacher came at a time that was so important for this child who was unheard and who was unseen in the greater scheme of the world, only to grow up and become the great poet, the great Maya Angelou that the world has been transformed by today. So every single adult in the world has some sort of a duty to actually take under their wing, genuinely speaking, a young person and help them develop and help them move into this very difficult world that is very short of opportunities and that is very short of empathy and care. I think another thing that is important to talk about is the idea of power. And I love the word power, and I'm not ashamed to say I want power. A lot of the times when I say this, people cringe. It's like, oh my gosh, you're power hungry. Yes, I am. I'm power hungry. I want a lot of power, and the reason is that power is energy in motion. There are so many people who are doing meaningful work. You can think of NGOs, for example. You can think of teachers, for example. But they do not have power. And because they don't have power, they're unable to amplify the beautiful work that they're doing, right? And Eric Liu actually goes deep into what power means, and he talks about the the six functions of power. Resources is one, money, which is why I'm in business. I want to be able to use Masodi Organics, my business, as a vehicle for change in society. I want money. You too should want money, because if you have to campaign for, to run for elections in this country, money is required. And when you have money that is earned ethically, you do not become vulnerable to corruption. I want to be able to have powerful ideas or brilliant ideas that can shape the world, right, and that can change the world. I want to be able to influence the law and some of the regulations that I have that are shaping society. Things like collective intensity. I want to be able to speak on a platform like this and influence the thinking or influence some of the ideas that go into young people's minds, right? And I want to be able to not so much exercise brutal force, but have the ability to stop it if it happens. South Africa, for example, might be vulnerable to some wars that might be coming into this land. How do we know that we are ready as a country to be able to protect ourselves from the brutalities of the world, right? That is important, and this is why I think you should not be ashamed to want power. So now we're going to wrap up because I think we're running out of time. My last slide. Is it done? Oh, my last slides disappeared, but let me just wrap up anyway. I think one of the most important things about starting, I said this is the most important thing, about starting is you need to start abruptly. When I started my business, Masodi Organics, I always say I started as though one starts a cup of tea. I didn't have a lot of money. I had a full-time job. I started in my kitchen. I went to YouTube. I went to Google, looked up recipes, and started mixing things in my kitchen. And one of the things that I learned about that kind of process was understanding just how powerful it is to start something, to speak life into it, and speak confidently about it. The second important thing was leaning on to people who knew or who had things that I didn't have. I would reach out to people via social media and say, hey, you're doing this thing really well. How did you do it? Can you share that information with me? Some of the people that I reach out to had resources. I would reach out to people in positions of power and say, hey, I'm a small founder of this business. I need money. I don't have money. Some of them would offer to give you loans. Some of them would, direct you to government agencies that can actually be able to give you some loans or some grants and so on. So I think a lot of you guys, what I do suggest you do, lean on to a lot of the people. They can even be so far away from you. People are always responsive when you come up and you know your story and you're determined to actually bring your ideas to life. So please look for people that you admire. Go to their social media, go to their emails, be in touch with people who actually inspire you. Because a lot of the times we think that people are so far from us. There's people that I grew up looking up to that I now have access to. And interestingly, a lot of the developments that I've been able to have or I've been able to enjoy, both in business and in my own my personal development, was because of someone I looked up to, respected the fact that I started small, and actually was there to help me. Wishing you everything of the best in everything you do. I'm available on social media if you guys have any questions. I will share my details with the team as well. I think I'll be taking briefly 1-2 questions. 2 questions, please.
Okay, let's start here, then we'll go there.
Greetings to everyone. My name is Joseph Numalo. I would love and I would like if you comment on the statement that I'm going to make. In society or community that we live in, there is, actually I forgot the name in English, there is this thing where the society has, I will say, the way that they move. Yes, the moment you start to step out of the channel of the society, the world that you go, the moment you go out, you become lonely. There are no people who work with you on that side. So I would love if you could give us an advice on that moment, because we live in this community, we live in this society where things happen. And for us to make other things, we have to leave the channel that society has. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, how are you? I want to ask, what do you think of about South Africa having a female president. The thing is, I've always wanted to be a president, first of all. But growing up, you learn a lot of things and all that. Hence, you talking about the political parties and all the instincts that they have. So I don't share the same sentimentals or rather political views as themselves. Hence, it's hard for myself to go into the political industry. Hence, even at school, I'm doing physical sciences. I couldn't do history because I found research that, our history is diluted. So I want to ask, what do you think of a female president? And what advice can you give me? Hence, it's so hard finding people who are hungry for change. Yes, let me say that, who are hungry for change. Because there are some young entrepreneurs out there, young politicians out there who I meet and we share the same political ideas, but obviously we don't share the same as our ruling parties and so-called influential parties. That's why I'm not part of any political party or youth league. What can you advise?
Yeah. Thank you so much. I'm going to start with Joseph's question. That was a very amazing question. A lot of carving out a new path for yourself is lonely. And I say this from a very deep personal place. Venturing outside of the line is a very lonely path. And you are very lucky if you can surround yourself with, if you can find one or two people who are truly in your corner, be it family, be it a mentor, be it, a friend or just something. And I'll tell you why. One of the aspects of power that I spoke about was the power of social norms. Social norms is exactly what you're talking about. Society can say, we actually do not accept that people can be homosexuals. It's a lonely journey to be a gay man or gay woman in South Africa and across of the world today. But that requires a lot of individualistic authenticity and a lot of internal work for yourself, where you have to truly believe at the core of your core that the thing that you are working towards and that the thing that you are stepping out of the social norms for is worth it for yourself. If you look at some of the greatest, in fact, a lot of the greatest people that we look up to today have gone through that lonely path. Bill Gates was seen as a very weird person who was crazy when he started out. Oprah Winfrey will tell you that she was ostracized because she looked ugly and she wasn't conventionally beautiful and she had to sleep on the porch because she was the dark-skinned kid. Ian Van Zandt will tell you that she had to abandon her law degree to go into, her fellowship journey, which was very lonely. She lost her house, lost everything. A lot of the powerful people that we know today have gone through that kind of loneliness in order to rise to their highest expressions of themselves and ultimately be accepted by the world. And this is what the world or your community will do to you. The moment you start out, everyone laughs at you, you're an idiot. It felt like that when I started Masodi Organics. I was coming from one of the most elite organizations, global firms in the world. I won't mention the name. When I left that organization to go mix products in my kitchen, the partners of the firm and people in the firm might have thought, is she crazy? That doesn't look like a smart thing. And one of my friends actually told me, Liz, why would you do that to yourself, right? It was a very lonely journey. Today, they're asking me to come and speak at their events because, Liz, how did you do that? It's always lonely. Go through the loneliness. You'll crack through it. Everyone has done it that way. I guess that is the cost or the price that you have to pay for trying to rise to the highest expression of yourself. Female president of South Africa, I say go for it. And I'm going to help you think about how you can do it. I myself want to go into politics. I always say that as much as I'm an entrepreneur, this is a vehicle for me to get into public service. One of the things I've done was to look into fellowships and programs that help give tools to young people like myself. I didn't know, which political party I could join. I wasn't inspired by a lot of them when I looked at the organizational culture. And when I saw that the Constitution is actually being reviewed in terms of allowing, individuals to stand for public office, I was quite delighted because I knew that as an individual, I know my own ethos and I could put my name forward and say, I'm ready to lead. So I will say to you, just go online, look for youth fellowship programs. One of them, which I had the pleasure of participating in, was called A Political Academy. It is in the business of helping the next generation of ethical leaders to go into public service. We had all sorts of people from different political parties, from private sector, public sector. It was such an amazing opportunity for me to help me understand what it was that I was trying to say I want to get into, but also help give me the tools of how I can go into that. So I think fellowships and programs are a good start. Thank you so much.
Ezandleni.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. The lady wants to go to politics. We are about to have a politician coming speaking here. You listen attentively, but let me tell you, because that's also the space that I'm in. I'm a political activist. You need to be, how's in shape? How? Ubutite o sheba kwalikwa. Sheba na all the beauties here. You must, the first important thing that you must do, you must be a member of RCL. That's where you start. Every great politician you know, you see most of them started in what we call student politics. It's either at high school level or at university level. With RCL, they'll teach you things like patriotism, citizenship, your country. National Code of Armament. But they teach you a lot of things about leadership and all those things. So be there. But my biggest advice to you is that right now, as I call the MMC of Economic Development in Johannesburg, Ntate Tom Mofokeng, please listen attentively. Ntate Tom obviously is a politician, is a leader. That's why he's an MMC. Let's put our hands together for Ntate Tom Mofokeng. Thank you so much. We can do better. Ntate Tom Mofokeng ke now touring economy at Johannesburg. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Do that. Ta-da. Tide. Ta-da. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. You know, seeing a lot of young people like this is a very good thing. And I want to tell you that I am so honored to be invited in this occasion. Now, because I didn't expect such a lot of young people and such a lot of dynamic speakers. You know, the lady that was here, can we give her a round of applause? I think she is one of the young people that I can put my money on. Before I can actually even start with my prepared speech, let me tell you who Tom Mofokeng is, so that you can get a little bit of understanding of who is actually standing before you. I was born in a small dorpy in the Free State called Villiers. Went to school in Free State, you know, high school in Helbron, ended up in Kwakwa, attended school there, did my teacher's diploma there, and later went to university to carry on with my studies. But, you know, after I've completed in university, then I realized again that, look, there is not much to be excited about. I felt like I'm still an ordinary person. Then I said, look, I'm in teaching, but let me start doing something different. And then I actually went into what is called special education. Now, special education is all about education that is for children with special learning Then I went into sign language, studied sign language. We wrote a dictionary about sign language, and I can actually do one or two things when it comes to sign language. I can do that. Became an interpreter for the deaf people in the courts, and then went on with my teaching until I realized that, look, teaching is good, but it's not like it's meant for me. Then I actually went into business and started with what I thought was an easy business then, which was collecting dry clean, and had a depot of dry clean, but it didn't take me anywhere. I went into driving school. It didn't take me that far. Then I bought a franchise. The franchise brought me to my knees because I thought that having a steers franchise is something exciting, is something that will make money for me quickly. But unfortunately, I didn't know that to put that lettuce in there, just to have that lettuce there, you need a lot of knowledge. That piece of cheese is it's not cheese that you can buy from Pick and Pay. That roll and all those kind of things. Then, because I went in without full knowledge, I lost everything in life. Then I had to say to myself, now that I've resigned from teaching, do I go back to teaching or do I do something about my life? Then something triggered in my mind to say, do what you understand and do what you are basically trained for. Because the biggest problem that we do as young people is that we copy business from other people and want to do what other people are doing because we see them making money and we think that that is what we have to do. That is why we have so many spaza shops down the street, so many people selling liquor, so many people, because we think that because this one is making money, then let me just follow. And this also applies when we choose our careers. We do the same mistake. But a human being is unique. Guess what business, which business that made me to feel proud? I started selling toys. Toys. And toys took me from this level. Today, I am into educational toys that I am actually spreading all over South Africa to make sure that every creche, every school, this thing has my toys, my own toys. So that is something that I think we all have to learn and say, what is it? You know, because when we come to business, you must understand that business, it's an idea. The lady that was here spoke about Bill Gates. What made Bill Gates to be Bill Gates? It's nothing else but an idea. What makes Zuckerberg to be Zuckerberg is an idea. So you have to know that an idea can turn into something that can bring you money. Any kind of business, it must be a polished idea. Now, having said that, let me just go back to my speech and say, we apologize for being late. I received the invitation here of this Empower Week about 2 months ago. And I've been looking forward to be part of this. My office will tell you, I used to ask them, when is that Empower Youth Week gonna be and all those things, because I was looking forward for this. But this morning, we had to go and meet with Umama Stella Ndabeni Abrahams, the Minister of Small Business, and also the MEC of Business in the province of Gauteng, Ntate Pakstau. And I was there representing these lovely people that are here, the young people of Johannesburg, because there are so many good ideas that we have for you. This time around, we are not just going to be politicians. We are going to make sure that young people make an impact. So I just want to say to you, thank you for inviting me, especially the ward councillor who worked so hard to do this, and the program director, Abuti Petulo Malapani, and then the chancellor and the vice chancellor of, the principal and the vice chancellor of UNISA, Professor Puleng Linkabula, and also Aus Lizi Lizwalo, CEO of Rentwater, Sipho Musai, and then also the people from Empower Works, Dumi and Dumi Liru. You are all acknowledged, and we thank you for organizing this, and I definitely want to thank you. It has been 2 weeks after we lost a hardworking, dedicated, and servant of the people of Johannesburg, the late executive mayor, who had a heart of a young person with an intriguing mind. Jolie D. Matongo had a lot to offer to our city and GLU. When we are talking about GLU, we are talking about government of local unity, because the city is now run by a coalition, and there is about 4 parties that came together to run that city. And just to mention a few, it's the ANC, it's IFP, it's COPE, and AIC, and Al-Jama. It's 5 of them. So they came together to run. So when each time I speak about GLU, I'm referring to the 5 parties. I am delighted to be invited by Empower Works to present opportunities provided by the city of Johannesburg to young people under your theme, Sustainability Transforming the Lives of our Township Youth. This Empower Youth Transformation Week is located in one of the most challenged communities of our city, and a region which we consider the hardest hit by socio-economic challenges. If you know where this place come from, Orange Farm, how it started, you will definitely agree with me that socio-economic challenges gave birth to this area. As the city, we are replicating the success of spatial and socio-economic development of Soweto to Greater Orange Farm, with the hope to create a sustainable environment for job creation. In other words, whatever you see in Soweto, whatever you think is good in Soweto, it's something that we as the council right now wants to make sure that it happens in this area. A lot of plans are coming up to make this area to be an area that we can be all proud of, but not only that, but an area where young people will be given so much assistance to become something in our city. Now, having said that, I just want to say, for Greater Orange Farm, as the city, we have allocated 625 million for the multidisciplinary 10 key projects, 140 million for the conversion of open stormwater drains. I know that this might be boring a little bit, but I'm giving these figures for a purpose, just for you to understand what is happening around this area. If we have decided that 625 million will be spent in this area to develop it, then you must actually make sure that that money comes, because in most cases, we as politicians keep quiet about the amounts, about the budgets that goes out there to be used in the areas where people live, and as a result, people miss out, or we end up saying, no, they don't know how much money has been budgeted for this area, and then that is where you find both officials and politicians colluding to steal from the communities. So the whole issue is we must know what amount of monies have been allocated to our areas. Now, 215, I spoke about 49 for stormwater drains. There are young people who went to school here, who are aspiring to become engineers. Some of them, just went to FETs. They have the right knowledge, although they are not well equipped with the D knowledge that is needed. These are people that we as the city are looking at to say, let's start with these people to develop, because we understand that they ended up with FETs because of many socio-economic reasons. And as a result, we are saying as the city, we have to go out there, get these young people, organize them, make them have their businesses, and make them be part of what is happening. Those stormwaters and everything, we're not expecting somebody, an engineer coming from Santin or coming from Pretoria to come and do these things. The 49 million rand is something that must end up in the hands of the young people that have at least studied certain things. The other problem that we have been having, it is a problem of taking people that do not have understanding of certain things. Just because they could sing a good slogan, we took them to put them in these things. But things are changing now. Things are changing. And as they are changing, we want people who are, that is why I say my department is targeting first the young people who went to FETs, and we want to get them from all over to make sure that those people are established to make businesses, because that is where they belong. Now, I don't want to bore you with all these figures. The 215 million towards tiring and gravel road, 49 million for construction of public transport facility, 536 million for water demand management, and so on and so on. Now, this is all the money that is meant for this region, Region G. But we are also aware that we have at least 36% of young people in this city that are not employed. And we cannot be proud to be called politicians when we are actually having 36% of young people not doing anything, sitting at home and doing anything. And that is where we are, and then that is what we want to do. And as I'm about to conclude, Program Director, I want to highlight that we have come up with something that is called opportunity centers. Now, these opportunity centers, unfortunately, Region A has an opportunity center that we have established in El Dorado Park. Is it in El Dorado Park? Ne? Region G. It's in the El Dorado Park. Now, the good news is, in this budget that started in July, we are going to build that opportunity center here in Orange Farm. Now, let me tell you why are we having opportunity centers. Opportunity centers are places where we are actually employing professionals. People who did economics, people who are knowledgeable about business. Also, people with experience in business. Not only that, we have training centers there to train people on certain things. We are doing partnerships with the businesses. You know, talking about partnership, I'm so delighted that we have just completed something in Diepsloot, the area that I'm actually responsible of. I'm responsible of Region A, the entire Region A development in Region A. And here somebody else, another MMC is looking for after this area. But in there, we came up with something that makes me sleep at night. We challenged big businesses like businesses that are in the minerals, your diamonds. We went to Diamond Center and said, Kimberley is just 500 kilometers from here. There is a big center that has been built in Johannesburg. It's called Diamond Center. It's so private, it's big and private that few people know about it. Now, Diamond Center is where the diamonds are being polished, are being cut, diamonds are being processed and all those kind of things until they get out of the country to respective markets. Now, we went to them and said, look, the people of Diepsloot have an opportunity center. And we are going to identify people there, young people in Diepsloot, to be taught how to polish and cut diamonds. And that thing is happening. We have already trained 80 of the young people in Diepsloot to do that. And as a department, we are actually, I am not going to sleep until I see this thing going throughout all the regions. And that is where it's going. It's going to be in every region in Johannesburg where the opportunity centers are. Not only that, the gold and every mineral, the platinum, you know, Springs is just next by here. Platinum is being processed there and all those things. Where are our young people? They have to know what is it to process these things. I'm not talking that much about technology and all those things because the department that I'm running is also running the entire IT of Johannesburg. Now, that is where we are actually making sure that we have all young people and who are having companies listed there. We want to know where they are. We want to know who they are. We want to know how we can help them because through that company, within entity, within the city, that is called Metro Trading Company, we are going to make sure that the problems of IT are things of the past. And that is what we are doing as the city. And as I conclude, because I don't want to bore you with a lot of things, I just want to say that having young people around us and having young people who had an opportunity to be at universities or high schools, even those who didn't have any opportunity, our department is looking at how to empower informal traders. The people that are sitting at the corner, they're selling tomato. But we don't want them to sell tomato only. Today I was saying to Minister Ndabeni, I said, Minister, I don't understand. COVID-19 has taught us some other things. To say, you can't be bringing containers all the way from China. Let China come and manufacture those things here in Johannesburg, so that we, the people of Johannesburg, can take those products, make them our products, and start processing them throughout the continent. That is the way to go, and that is what we want to do. And I believe that as we go forward to make sure that we partner with big business, we are going to succeed. In Diepsloot, another success story is we managed to put 2,500 young people into construction, because that side of Johannesburg, it's a construction site. Everything is happening. But we said to big business, you can't come here, make money, and do as you wish. Get our young people to be part of this, and 2,500 young people in Diepsloot cannot witness people, graders going around or whatever, heavy machinery, building, skyscrapers and flats around without them being part of that. And then we have dragged them there. And then learnerships are going on and so on. Now, today we have just concluded something that we have to put on paper with Telkom. To say, Telkom, we love you, you are a beautiful company, but where is our young people? You have to come down to them to give them learnerships about your business, the skills that they have, because most of them are now into IT. If I can ask how many people are in IT here, you'll be surprised. It is exactly like the number of people that are becoming lawyers. That industry is becoming so competitive, is becoming so busy, and young people cannot be left behind. We need to take you by your hands and make sure that wherever you are, you succeed. So expect your opportunity center here, because that opportunity center is also going to make sure that even those that I was called by Konka. I know all of you know who Konka is, because you conquer there every week. Now, I was called by Konka in Soweto and said, MMC, we are here. We want to continue with our business. But we have a problem. The Metro Police will come here, shut us down, do all these kind of things. Help us to comply. And because I have been in business and I know the pains of starting a business, I said to myself, let me go sit down with Konka and make sure that I understand him. When we understand, he has a license of a nightclub. Now, during the day, you can't sell. So we said, okay, I brought all the directors in our department to say, let's help him to comply. Now we are busy helping him to get a restaurant license in the same setup. A restaurant license, we are entertainment license, to bring those Boma Jaivani to come and do everything there to entertain the people. We are also making sure that he has every license, including the liquor licenses that he needs. That is his business, and we as the government have to help him to get established. Now, one thing that I have proposed, and I believe even if the elections of tomorrow can take me out of this portfolio, I would have left a mark. I said, I want to see every informal business in Johannesburg being housed, put into business, into buildings, because the city has those businesses where these people will be helped, whether they are paying less or they are paying no money, but we want to get them into those buildings where they will not be worried. If I walk away here, if I go home, I don't have to carry these boxes. I just lock the door and then I'm gone and I'll be home. So as we are bringing that opportunity center, a lot of things will be explained in that opportunity center, and please be part of that, because in other areas I've seen young people enjoying the facilities that we have brought to them of our opportunity centers. Program Director, thank you so much, and thank you for your time, and we love you all.
So much. Thank you so much. That was amazing. Straight to the point. Is that right? Nisho, must I check you still fine? No. You know what? Let's go through the next speaker. Then we'll try accommodate questions at the end. Let me see you still fine. Okay. You even forgot what I taught you. Yeah. Oza. No, you're still fine. What a very powerful input. A government must have program for its people and must see to it that they do well. You touched me when you spoke about Jolie Matongo. Actually, I saw my friend here, Dr. Ndiviwe. We met Jolie D. Matongo when we were very young. We were part of Soweto Student Congress and Soweto Youth Congress. That man epitomized a young person we are grooming here, committed to his people, loving the community. We went to the family, we went to memorial services, and everybody was saying Jolie was committed to the people. So thank you so much for you to come here and inform us about opportunities that are there. Uzoithola kanjani? Yeah. We are going to the last part of the program. Kise usaya schowa. Queen yasbatla. Ise metsikatiye. We are going to introduce our final speaker. Dynamic, powerful, progressive, academic, and committed to the advancement of an African child. And without wasting any time, she's the principal and the vice chancellor of UNISA. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Professor Puleng Lenkabula. Thank you. Ezandleni, do that. Tala. Today. Tala. Thank you so much. Kitobu pose, man.
Sanibona, Molweni, are you tired? No, I hope I'm not coming at a graveyard session. When he was saying do that, I thought as young people I'd see some movement, you know? Are you tired? So why are you a little bit shy like me? Oh, okay. Thank you very much. MMC Ntate Tom Mufokeng, the CEO of EmpowaYouth, Ntate Simphiwe Masiza, previous speakers who were on this podium, youth and young adults, and perhaps guests from other environments who are here. Good afternoon.
I see you at the end of the program.
I just have to do that, yeah. So I must first express my delight for having been invited to come and share with you some insights. My name is Puleng Lenkabula, ke le phuthing la khwase le kholo ke le korotswana ngwana padi ya mathunya mohlaba ke bika seqhobosho ka sebunung la isa khorong ha morena la bona morena ke hlabile ke setlolo sang khone mantisi yena a ileng a lwana ka nako ya difatane pela mo Ntate Tom Mofokeng a leng teng. So lefatshe la Qwaqwa le la Lesotho ke lefatshe la Nkgono Manthatis, and that's my roots. I first start by giving you my descent to demonstrate that for us as South Africans, we come together with different cultures, different languages, but these are not, the differences in the languages, in the cultures, in the descent, are not the defining features of who we are, but the idea that as society, we must work to ensure that our society is connected, works together to ensure that the economic development, social justice, the idea of human dignity that we talk about as Ubuntu or Butu in our languages become important. And hence I thought I should locate myself as an African woman who's committed to the social development and economic transformation of our society through education. Our former president, the late President Mandela, reminded us of the importance of education and said, education is the only weapon that you can use to change lives. Many times we think it's the tender, or we think it's hanging out with those who are wealthy. But it is education because it exposes you to a variety of opportunities that the MMC and the previous speakers were talking about. But President Mandela doesn't stop about telling us about the importance of education. He further asserts that when we seek education and pursue education, not for purposes of separating us from our communities, it is at that point that a child of a miner can transform that word that's in the middle, can transform to being a mine owner, or a child of a farmer can transform themselves to being the farm owner. What I get from this strong assertion by our late president is that the role of education is transformative. It is not to make us elites that forget about the historical trajectory or the historical path that our country went through. That path of apartheid that did not respect the dignity of people like me or yourselves, that used the idea of whiteness and blackness or our differences in the ethnicities to foment discord or to make us disrespect one another. And I'm hearing that it's not just about the transformation, but President Mandela also reminds us that it's about the social unity and cohesion in the same philosophy that our own African languages, our African literatures, our African philosophies remind us that when we do things together, we succeed. There's a proverb that says, if you want to move fast, walk alone. If you want to succeed and make a global impact, work with others. That idea of collectively ensuring that we are united, there's social cohesion, and we root out all elements that make it impossible for us to being or to living with dignity. I'm saying this because in many contexts in our society, but in the global arena, the youth and young adults are defined as the lost cause. Some say youth and young adults are lost cause, they have no hope, they're not interested in transforming society. And in the work that I do, I doubt that such a definition is true. And I want to encourage youth and young adults to know that they are not a lost cause, they actually embody in themselves the intellectual abilities to changing the world and to changing society. In this country, 1976 has taught us that indeed youth and young adults can come together to contest violence, apartheid, and systems of oppression that negate the imperative for the dignity that I've talked about. But also recently, in the context of South Africa in higher education, the youth, through what they called Fees Must Fall, agitated for our country, our government, but also for university leaders such as myself, who are vice chancellors or who are deans, to ensure that the educational systems enable students to be able, at the end when they graduate, to be employed or to create employment for themselves. And this is an idea that we cannot take away from the agitation of those youth, and we must at all times remember that the youth became the conscience of society and reminded us about the value of education. They didn't just say that. The youth and young adults said the universities in our country tend to focus on educational systems that focuses in the global issues without addressing the real challenges that we as youth and young adults, but also our communities, are experiencing. The universities are just ivory towers. They are there, they are beautiful to look at, but they're irrelevant to the social conditions of society. And therefore they requested that universities must be engaged, must be at the forefront and at the center, and must work with youth and young adults, but also with society, private sector, public sector, to ensure that we are partners in creating conducive environments for work and the world of work for the future. But they also said in schools, we teach material that students don't have any use for. So for instance, I always remembered in primary school when I was asked to write an essay about cricket, and I thought as a rural girl, I'll write about cricket, the insect. When they want me to know about cricket, the sport, which I don't even know or would not have gone to a stadium. So how do we ensure that the education is relevant, is accessible, is knowledgeable? It's like asking somebody who has never flown. In the context of COVID-19, how do you ensure that people who are going to fly, who go to the airport, follow the lockdown or the COVID-19 protocols? You're setting them up for failure, but you must bring what is known, what can help them to flourish. And then finally, the students taught us something that was very important and which I think for you as youth and young adults must take seriously. They said we live in a world where the digital systems are becoming normative, meaning computers are becoming central, phablets are becoming important, and what we have been told or we hear in the radio, TV, being called the fourth industrial revolution. And they said it's important for us not to be left behind. MMC, I'm not going to contradict you, but I'm going to build on what you've said. They said instead of us going to China, asking the Chinese to come and build factories, we must be partners with the Chinese to creating employment so that we are not also consumers and dependent on the Chinese or Euro-American economic systems. We want education that will help us to be inventors, to be owners of the businesses, to develop systems and processes, and not just to be on Insta. You know, all the time when you see South African young people, what they're doing, tung, tung, tung. But they don't use Instagram for business opportunities that the MMC was talking about, or the previous speaker. I'm sorry I forgot your name, and I'd be delighted if I were to know your name because your speech was very powerful. They don't use Facebook to advance educational opportunities, but they use it for communication that doesn't help them. They hang around in shops, but they don't discuss what is the next step or the next invention, even if it's a new dance, but ensure that that dance creates business opportunities for them. And this is quite important. So for me, I think I'm starting with these expressions about the role of education around how youth and young adults have taken responsibility to changing the university system. And I thought I could tell you about myself just a little bit as the first woman vice-chancellor of the University of South Africa in 148 years of its existence. I want to thank all the people who became supporters, allies, in ensuring that a young girl like me, who comes from a rural environment, who was not raised by biological parents but was raised by adoptive parents, had hope and never gave up hope. And I'm saying this because many times youth and young adults think about the challenges in their families, the economic challenges that their parents are facing, and they don't look into the opportunities that schooling enables them to harness for themselves. So I'm that child. I did not grow up with a silver platter before me. The second issue that I wanted to tell you about is that when I joined the University of South Africa as the first woman vice-chancellor, many people were worried, is she competent? Did she qualify? Did she have to hang out with other people to give them a job? I definitely would want to say, no, that's not what I did. What I did is that I pursued my undergraduate studies in education, theology, and English. And when I was doing my undergraduate studies, people were laughing at me for the choices of subjects that I was undertaking. And this was in the context of apartheid, where Bishop Tutu, Alan Bosak, and many other activists were using theology and politics to seek freedom for our country, and I found that inspiring. But in the global arena, there was scholars such as Amina Mama, Mercy Odioye, Mayor Winnie Mandela, and other women who agitated for the freedom of society, including Martin Luther King. So I thought, oh, what it means is that even if I'm not actively engaged in party political systems, I could be engaged in the efforts for freedom of South Africa and of the African continent through other activities that project the integrity and the decisions to seeking education. Then I studied as well at the University of Saskatoon in Saskatchewan, Canada, where I did my master's degree. And my studies were on understanding how international financial systems, the financial banks such as IMF, International Monetary Fund, and the World Bank were supporting or not supporting African countries in ensuring that we own, self-determine our businesses and our economic systems. And I found that it is important as African people, whether in South Africa, in West Africa or North Africa, that we are at the center of defining the types of developments and economies that we do. Then I did my PhD, not pull him down, in ethics, where I was looking at how African people have strong knowledge systems, indigenous knowledge systems, but these knowledge systems are not developed into medicines or food systems, and we're just now in the context of COVID, where we've had to balance vaccines, but at the same time, health and well-being. And I was dealing with questions of bioprospecting and intellectual property rights. But I published, I've taught all over the world, including at University of Toronto, University of South Africa, University of Witwatersrand, University of the Free State, and I worked in different roles as the dean, as a scholar, as a publisher, as a supervisor, until I got. So I'm trying to say, let's work hard to ensure that we get into positions of leadership And when we are given those positions of leadership, we use them wisely to ensure that we empower others, including youth and young adults. I want to conclude by saying to you, colleagues and youth and young adults, it's important that you work hard. It's important that you look for mentors and those people who tell you the truth even when you don't want to know the truth. It is important to be curious, and it is important to research. A lot of times we hear others saying things and we do not research. Research is very important. It empowers you to be successful, but also it helps you to look for sites of success in your own environment. I had mentors, I had friends who were peers, I had collaborators who worked with me all over the world. And I want to conclude by asking the questions. How many of you are computer literate? Thank you. How many of you are computer literate? Maybe you can stand. How many? Quickly, we can do it. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. So you see, half of us will need to help others to be computer literate. Huh? So it's not something that you do on yourself. How many of you have passports? You see the number is small. It means we only know our country and do not know other countries. How many of you have traveled to 3 countries? You see the number of people who have traveled to 3 countries. How many of you have traveled outside South Africa? Thank you. You see the numbers. How many of you have traveled to Europe, America, or Asia? No, have a look. Okay. Thank you very much. How many of you are wearing shoes that are worth 1.5? How many of you are wearing shoes that are worth 1.5 or beyond? Yeah. No, you're shy, all of you. I saw the signs, the tick, the crocodile, all these brands. I saw the tick, the crocodile, I saw something that's called Dizella. I saw. So what I'm trying to say by this is that once you're able to buy fashion, which will not be fashionable next week, you could utilize and invest the money that you're investing in fashion to access education, opportunities, and to get a passport, because a passport is less. But it also says if you have that, you're able to travel to Swaziland or Lesotho, which is 400 kilometers from here, or to Botswana or Mozambique, and that money can help you. Then travel widens horizons, meaning you're not just going to be locked by just knowing Orange Farm or Joburg or Sandton. Now you want to know New York, you want to know Hong Kong, and you want to know Singapore. I was using these examples of asking you questions because I was saying nothing is difficult to accomplish. What is important is how you set your life in looking at opportunities. Some opportunities we may not know, but now that you know, to be a woke youth and young adult, you need a passport, you need to travel, you need to be digitally aware, you need to ensure that you have entrepreneurial skills or social justice skills, and you need to know that you have to, at all points, be political. And by political, I'm not saying being a member of a political party. That's important, actually. It is what makes democracy important. But being political is that idea of caring about your family doing well, around your society doing well, around being interested that the road has, the potholes in the road are filled, and therefore doing something about it, about ensuring that your environment is clean and you can call on others and you don't wait on the government to do it for you, because the government must be a partner with society that's commitment to doing something. And in my leadership, I think the commitment to ensuring that I'm not just myself a success or my family, but to ensure that I'm part of a community of committed academics that ensure that the universities open up opportunities for students from underprivileged environments to deem themselves successful, in the words of President Mandela and Mama Winnie, as I stated. I want you as youth and young adults at least to take one message home: that you are beautiful, that God created you as a unique person who has to fight it out in life, get the best and the best that God has purposed you to being, and to ensuring that when you succeed, you don't just become alien or separate from your family, your society, but you ensure that you contribute to the advancement of our country, the society, and how our country is viewed in the global arena. I also want you to know that education is available. There is national financial aid system for those students whose families cannot afford to pay for them. I come to communities in the townships. I don't focus on the suburbs because some of them have access to this. I focus in the townships because I want to ensure that you as youth and young adults have the opportunities to pursue education in order to change South Africa for the better and the African continent, and to ensure that you're not limited to Orange Farm, but you can choose New York, Hong Kong, Singapore, any other part in the world to exercise your talent. Thank you. I wish you all the best. Vaccinate, be happy, and thank you very much. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.
Historic sabotages against social historic challenges and limitations. So can we put together our hands again for the professor? Social umpop, ozampop, social umpop, hamba lapha. Social
Swell.
Yeah. Yes, umpop.
I guess it is swell. Uyishayile izandla for coming out, for coming here. Zishayile wena izandla. Lalela ungabi biltong. Ngicela usishayile izandla. Okay, sesovala sesofinyelela emaphethelweni of our program. Ngifuna nje umuntu ozongitshela only one, the last word ayishilo uDr. Bishop Maponga. Ngikunikeza i-t-shirt namakhadi. Cela uphamise isandla ufuna ukubona besilaleleni. Utheni uDr. Bishop Maponga? Okay, isho into oyikhumbulayo. Right, uyakhumbula?
Yeah, bekakhuluma nge-brand positioning.
All right, bamba nawo makhadi, simpeni izandla. lana sifuna uphume la wazi ukuthi utholile. All right, ngicela oyedwa ozongitshela ukuthi ufundeni kule program no today utholeni yini oyidlile, just in two lines, give me in 2 lines, what have you learned, what have you gained, what have you learned?
Ngifunde nge-personal mastery ne-building i-brand yakho.
Oh, letha simpeni izandla. Right, I got a limited time. Are we done? I'm done.
No. Can I have 2 minutes of your time? In fact, 1 minute.
All right.
Sabanan, before nihambe, I need at least about 25 young people who are saying, you know what, I have an opportunity for young people who are interested in selling MTN airtime. MTN wants to meet you tomorrow morning at 8:30. If you are that young person, you want to take that opportunity, meet me outside. Yeah. Airtime. MTN airtime. Yeah.
It's opportunities, guys. All right, Imani, before Pum, Askagapum. Not now. Sasovalas, not now. Giving you 1 t-shirt. Anything that you've learned, Sesiaval, anything that you've learned? All right, okay.
Okay, I've learned that don't let your situation or your background define you and to never give up.
Don't let your situation or your background define who you are, which means you can become whatever that you are if you're determined and you have a purpose and you have a dream and you know exactly what you want to be or want to become, because we are all becoming. Right. Now, what can you tell me? I have learned today.
I have learned that I have to love myself and be independent.
Wow. I'm pushing this thing so that when you go back home, you know that you've been inspired, you've been connected, you know exactly what is your step forward that you're going to take when you leave this place. Because I believe the stuff in your life. Somebody say, I'm going to make it. Say, I'm going to make it. Say, I'm going to make it. What did you learn? Tell me one thing that you've learned today.
Igama lami nguKekeletso. Namhlanje ngifunde ukuthi ngingasabi ukustarta into.
Yeah, you must start. But simpeni izandla. Because if uyasaba nento zakho zizokusaba. Uma uyasaba nento zakho zizani uzosala entweni. I want people who are saying, thank you, EmpowaYouth. You've been good. I am taking this opportunity and I'm moving forward.
Good afternoon, guys. Are you good? Thank you so much for coming. Let me see from a show of hands who's been here for 3 days and more. Okay, I just want 3 people to tell me one word that you can gather out of everything that you've learned. 3 people, just one word each. Okay, let me start here.
Start.
Okay, then here.
Get it done.
Start, get it done. Last one?
Learn.
Learn. We've got start, we've got get it done, and we've got learn. Ne? So I'm really grateful for you guys having given us an opportunity to bring this to you. It's taken months for us to put together the EmpowaYouth Week. I think we started with the EmpowaYouth team in March, February already, and actually the actual conceptualization started in November last year. So it's taken a very long time, and we're really grateful for you allowing us to come into your community and actually get this done in order to be able to empower you and let you and unleash and unlock the potential that lies within you. We're really grateful as EmpowaYouth. And over and above that, I'd like to thank our official sponsor, Transport Education CETA, who obviously came on board and said they believe in this vision and they want to be a part of it. WNR CETA as well as our support structure. I'd like to thank Bidvest Group. The toilets ablution facility that we had was a sponsor from them. The security that we have, as well as the cleaners that are looking after us, was all Bidvest. I'd like to thank the speakers that did participate to make this thing happen as well. Our MCs, Bab Nimrod, as well as Felix. If they were not here, we wouldn't be entertained. Nompopo, for the entertainment purposes. 802 Media, Masango for the deco and everything that they put together for us, as well as live streaming from the Memory Creator. We had a live audience because they all made it possible. Most importantly, Mr. Masiza, the EmpowaWorks team, we have worked extremely hard and we can finally breathe. Because we've been very stressed. So thank you guys very much for coming through. It's been great. I hope you did get the impact that you were looking for. The opportunities that we did bring forth to you, please do tap into them. Don't leave the EmpowaYouth Week going back home exactly the same. The opportunities are there. We've brought them to you. You need to now start. You need to make sure that you have learned. And you need to make sure that you will get it done. Right? Okay, thank you very much, young people. Thank you.